Hi, my name is Chris and this is Battle Nonsense. In the background you see footage I've recorded while playing the beta of Battlefield Hardline. Thanks to Ryuoku, I could spend a bit more than 5 hours with it. An impressions video will follow soon. But this video is about hyping players. What I will talk about in the next minutes affects Battlefield 4 just as much as Hardline and every other Frostbite engine-based shooter. As we know, having players with 200 or 300 milliseconds on the same server as you are playing on freaks out the netcode. Fired rounds do not register, getting shot around the corner, all that kind of stuff. If you ever played on a server that kicks players with pings above 75 or 100 milliseconds, then you know how good the experience can be. So there's a lot of hate in the community for these hyping players. They are accused of intentionally joining hyping servers because, as it seems, the netcode gives them an advantage. I can understand that opinion when you see a 300 milliseconds player finish a round with 40 kills and 5 deaths. But try and play with 200 or 300 millisecond pings. It's not fun. So yeah, there will surely be players who intentionally join an hyping server for some reason. But I highly doubt that this is the majority of players. And here is why. With Battlefield 4, EA excluded a lot of game server providers who were previously allowed to host Battlefield servers. The reason why these were kicked out was that players complained that previous Battlefield titles performed very badly on servers from specific hosters. This did create bad press for EA and the Battlefield franchise, because most players just said that the game is running like shit. They did not consider that it might just be the game server provider stuffing too many instances of the Battlefield servers on one box, or that the game server provider had bad networking inside of his data center. But why should a normal player think about this? He bought a AAA title and that just has to work. So EA kicked out hosters where customers seemed to have a lot of issues with the performance of the Battlefield servers. Or hosters which could not fulfill the new requirements set by DICE for hosting Battlefield 4 servers. Generally speaking, this was a good move to make sure that the servers that are up and running are running well and have good connections to the internet. However, reducing the amount of game server providers also reduced the coverage around the world. This means that a player might be able to play Battlefield 3 with a ping of 75 milliseconds, but for Battlefield 4 the best server he can find has 120 or even more. So these players bought an AAA title, but now for Battlefield 4 they no longer have servers near them, which provide low pings. They still want to play the game, and they have a right to play the game. So they surely do not have bad intentions when they join a server with a high ping. So what needs to happen is that EA gets more server providers again, for better coverage, so that players have low ping servers near them they can join. Then there are players who want to play with friends who are located in another country. This can also quickly lead up to pings above 150 milliseconds. And can we really be angry that people want to play with their friends and family? I don't think so. And then there's matchmaking. Yes, a few players really use it. This is something DICE could fix, because it seems to completely ignore the player's ping. When I use it, I'm frequently placed on servers that have 150 milliseconds or more, or servers that are completely empty. Yet here in Austria, I have no troubles finding a ton of servers hosted in Germany or the Netherlands, to which I connect with 15 milliseconds. So that matchmaking has to be fixed. So in my opinion, these are the reasons why there are always a few hyping players on pretty much every server I join. We cannot forbid hyping players to play the game, but that these players ruin the experience of low ping players on the servers is also something we can't have. As long as DICE is not able to fix this problem, we need a workaround. So what low ping players want are servers where no hyping players are on. Creating such a server is possible since a long time already, at least on PC, by using Procon and the high ping kicker. This works quite well if the admin has configured it properly and makes sure that it still works after the server has been updated to a new version. I don't know how often I joined a server that should have kicked players above 150 milliseconds, according to the server name, and the in-game messages, but still had 200 and 300 millisecond players on them for the entire round. So even if it works, finding such a server is not that easy, because you cannot specifically search only for servers that kick for a high ping, or exclude such servers from your search, because you know that you have a high ping. You have to rely on the server admin putting something meaningful about the high ping kicker in the server name. But then you still don't know if it is working. And console players also want an high ping kicker, but the render server program does not have such a feature. And you can't use Procon for a console server, at least as far as I know. This is why we need an inbuilt feature in Battlefield, or any other first-person shooter that is using the Frostbite engine like Hardline or Battlefront. So first of all, there are 3 different types of servers: official, ranked and unranked. The official servers have very strict rules for admins, what they can and cannot do. In example, an admin of an official server is not allowed to kick a player. So running the high ping kicker is simply not possible on an official server. You can only run it on ranked and unranked servers. This means that the high ping players will always have servers to play on, the official servers, as well as ranked and unranked servers which are not using the high ping kicker feature. So how could this work? First of all, the high ping kick feature would be disabled per default. So the server administrator has to manually enable it so the server is using it. So all the high ping players watching this video might now move their mouse cursor away from the dislike button, please. Okay, good, let's move on. Let's begin in the server browser. Per default, you don't touch anything and search for official as well as ranked servers. A search will give you servers that have the high ping kicker disabled, as well as servers that have the high ping kicker enabled. If you want to search only for servers running the high ping kicker, tick the checkbox and enter the range inside which the server value for the high ping kick should be. If you enter 80 to 100, only servers that have their high ping kick value to a number between 80 and 100 will show up. If you know that you have a bad connection, then simply change the filter option to exclude all servers which run the high ping kicker. In the server detail page, we now also need one additional line, telling us if the high ping kicker is disabled or if it is enabled and to which value it has been set. So as you can see, finding a server which runs the high ping kicker or excluding such servers becomes extremely easy with these additional server browser options. I have been using Battlelog to create these mockups in Photoshop, but on consoles you should have the same options available in their inbuilt server browsers. And for the admin of the server, it should also be easy to use. All that is required is one additional line for the configuration, like this one here. Per default, it would have a value of 0, which disables the feature. If the admin enters in example 75, then only players with a ping below 75 milliseconds are allowed on the server. And if he enters 150, only players below that ping are allowed. Obviously, the server must not kick a player if his ping spikes briefly above the limit. But if it spikes constantly, then the player still needs to be kicked. So what do you think about this idea? Should make it very easy for players and admins to use the high ping kick feature. If you like this idea, then I need your help. I have put a few links in the description where you can go and support me and show DICE that there are players and admins who would like to see such a feature become a part of the game. As you might have noticed, I'm putting out a lot of content at the moment. So make sure that you check out my previous videos on the channel, maybe you missed one. If you like my content, you might consider hitting the subscribe button to not miss a new video. If you want to contact me, you can do so on Twitter and by mail. The links are in the description. Hope to see you next time, have a nice day and take care. My name is Chris and this was Battle Nonsense.
pit!